showcase has begun. This
was terrible. That just sounds like a dumb movie. I'm sure there's plenty of podcasts. This is so funny.
The following is a fan-off production.
They call me Alice in Wonderland. They try to lure me with a man. Go, oh, what do you know? Is that a rabbit hole? Oh, I gotta see where we go. Off with my head, fell in love again. You lose your head, you lose your heart, fall apart, fall apart.
What's up, all you stars and studs? This is former WWE diva. Oh,
You're in rare form tonight.
I'm still not used to doing it in the same room as you.
I'm right here. Hi. Hi, how
it's
you
so
doing?
hard for me. I can't do this.
You can do it. Continue. Carry on.
Okay, so I'm a former WWE diva and current First Lady of Ring of Honor, Maria Kanellis, and I'm here with my co-host and fiancé, Ring of Honor superstar, Michael Bennett.
And soon to be international Japanese superstar.
Would it be international Japanese, or wouldn't it just be Japanese superstar?
I'm saying internationals. I'm going to say how many things I can to piss more wrestling fans off.
Why would you want to do that?
If I can just pile it on and pile it on and pile it on, then I will continue to piss them off because it makes me happy. Because I have made a living off of proving people wrong and pissing them off, and add this to my checklist. I actually, like the loser that I am, I purposely found someone who always criticized me. And I found him, and I said, hey, I Twitter searched my name, and look what popped up, and I put the picture of the announcement of me going to New Japan. Felt good.
Why would you do that? Come on, why would you do that?
Why wouldn't I do it? It was amazing.
Do you really enjoy it? Do you enjoy, telling fans that they're wrong?
I enjoy proving people wrong. That's a great motivator. If you don't prove people, like if you can't get motivated by proving people wrong, then it's very hard to get motivated. So it's nice to be able to be like, hey, by the way, I win.
I mean, I guess that kind of has a bit to do with me going back to school.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I talked to Deborah a couple weeks ago. She was on one of the same shows as I was, and I was talking to her, and she said that was one of her main motivations of going back to college, and now she's going to get her master's degree. I mean, I think it can be a really good motivator, but you also have to find something within yourself of, I want to do this for me. I want to go back to school for me at this point to prove something to myself. So I think, yes, proving other people wrong is a good motivation, but I think proving to yourself how good you can be is an even better motivator.
No, I don't know. I just like proving people wrong. So many people are rude and inconsiderate and just assholes to me. So in return, I just keep being more successful, and it's fun.
Yeah, they always say that success is the greatest revenge.
Well, I think it's true because it feels really good. And that announcement felt really good when I could tell people that, hey, guess what? That company that you thought I would never work for.
But in all honesty, you never thought you'd work for them either.
I never thought I would never work there, but I believe in myself, so.
No, you never really believed you would go.
I did, yeah. I believe in a lot of things.
Yeah.
I don't tell people. I'm not full of myself.
But I'm your fiancé.
I don't have to go out there and tell everyone that this is what I'm going to do next in my career. That's not how I roll. I just do it. Mm-hmm. I don't need to throw it out there for the world. I don't need to tell everyone that'll listen that, I want to go to New Japan or I want to go to WWE. Or I don't do that. There's no point. I just do it. There's a difference. I feel like when you tell people and you're like, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, it's just I hate people that are always like, oh, this is what I want, so feel bad for me if I don't get it, or this is what I deserve, so feel bad for me if I don't get it, and blah blah blah. No, just do it. Like, just go and do it. There's so many guys that just do it. So there are so many guys I know that would love to go to New Japan or go to WWE or go to Ring of Honor. They don't tell everyone. They don't tell everyone that. If you have to tell, it's like that saying: if you're good, you'll tell everyone. If you're great, they'll tell you.
I always love that quote.
Yeah, and I think it's true. If you're good, you'll make sure everyone knows. If you're great, everyone will make sure you know.
Maybe that's why I have to tell people that I'm going to go running, because if I don't tell people, then I won't do it.
Maybe. But I don't think that's the same thing as that's just holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between holding yourself accountable and putting it out there so people, like, I just feel like sometimes people do that to try to get themselves there. I think that working out and being accountable for working out is completely different than performing at a job.
You know, that's two totally different things.
Yeah, but I've always been a big supporter of just doing something. Mm-hmm. I always feel like the people that are successful are just do it. Yeah. They don't tell you they're going to do it. They just do it, and then it's there. Mm-hmm. You know? I feel like the most successful people in wrestling, they didn't tell you, I deserve to be world champion. No, they just did it, and they became world champion. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
That's how I kind of have always lived my wrestling career. I don't need to tell everyone that I want to go to New Japan or I want to headline WrestleMania. I use it as my inner fire to motivate myself. And the people that tell me you'll never go to New Japan, man, that felt good.
You know what also felt good is that pay-per-view.
Which one was that?
What?
What pay-per-view?
What pay-per-view? What? The Ring of Honor pay-per-view, the only pay-per-view that Ring of Honor's done so far.
Well, they did taped pay-per-views before, but this was the first broadcasted live pay-per-view.
And everybody said, oh, there's going to be issues. Oh, there's going to be this problem. Oh, there's going to be that. And none of that happened.
It was flawless.
It was flawless.
It was probably one of the best wrestling shows or pay-per-views. I think it was the best pay-per-view in wrestling all year. And people will argue and critique, but top to bottom, every match, best wrestling show of the year on pay-per-view.
Right, and it was a wrestling show.
Yeah.
Yes, we had packages to build up to the matches, and not those kind of packages. I see your face. I'm in the room with you, so I could see your face this time.
No, I didn't say anything.
I mean, yes, all the guys had packages. I did not, because I'm not a guy.
That'd be weird if the girls had packages.
Well, I was on one of the packages.
Yeah, but you didn't have a package.
Isn't it kind of mine? I am marrying you, so it would be my package.
Well, it's exclusively yours. It's still attached to my body.
Well, this is true, but a debate can be made that I still kind of own it.
You're the only one that can open it. I'm the only one that can deliver it.
You're going to deliver your package.
You still have to sign for it.
And I have to sign for it.
You get to sign for that package. It's the only way you can open it.
So I've been debating on whether I should touch on this or not, but I'm just going to say one small thing about it. If you want to talk about it, we can. If not, that's okay too. So Emma got fired and rehired today.
She did.
That was very interesting. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
It was a very weird chain of events. That's what I'll say about it.
It was. And I can't say anything really about it because I don't know all the facts. I was not there that day, and I really don't want to say too much about it. But I do have to say that I think that she is an asset to women's wrestling. So I hope that she becomes very successful in women's wrestling. And puts this behind her, whatever it was.
I just think it was we are in a business where many people don't admit to their mistakes, and I think it was very good of WWE to go back on it and decide to change their mind. I think far too often people aren't given second chances, and especially people who deserve second chances. And everything I've heard, because she's one of Lance Storm students, and everything I've heard from him is she's a good person and she was a great student. And I don't know her personally, but I believe in second chances, especially to people who work hard and do their job. And sometimes we screw up, and sometimes we screw up by accident, and sometimes we screw up on purpose. But we all screw up, and I don't think those who live in glass houses should be throwing stones. So I think it was a smart move.
Mm-hmm. So wasn't there some kind of Money in the Bank or something recently that you watched?
I did. I watched the pay-per-view. Did you watch it?
I did not. I was busy.
What were you busy doing, dear?
Well, I've been doing all kinds of wedding stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I have. I may or may not have went and got my dress this week.
What color is it?
It's lime green.
That's
lime
pretty.
green wedding dress.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
I have lime green shoes that I'm going to wear to the wedding.
Oh, do you now?
Yeah, I do.
Where did you find these?
I made them myself. I spray painted them.
Oh.
I spray painted them NWO style.
Oh, nice. What
Yeah,
do they say on them, though?
Groom, and then the other side says man.
Groom man?
That's all I could think of. I'm not very creative.
I think you could be very creative.
Not with lime green shoes, I can't.
Well, I have to say wedding planning is very difficult. It is.
No, it's not. It's been easy for me.
I wonder why.
What? That's because all I've had to plan is the honeymoon.
You haven't even planned that.
Well, I've planned it. I've paid for it.
Paid for, yes.
Oh, I think Fat Pants is on the line.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Hello,
Toddy.
hello.
There he is. So we have on the phone head official of Ring of Honor Wrestling and a guy who's been in the ring with lots of amazing wrestlers. I mean, I'm sure he can list them off better than I can. But Mr. Todd Sinclair, how are you, buddy?
I'm all right. How are you?
Oh,
Hi, Maria. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
I think right off the bat we have to ask you, how's your head?
It's feeling all right.
Yeah.
I luckily didn't have any bruising. I thought I would.
Yeah.
But it's all right. I didn't feel any too bad of effects afterwards. I mean, that night I was miserable, but didn't have any headaches after or anything. But
I have to tell you that watching it over, it looks like you get shot with a shotgun when Adam Cole kicks you. It's fucking amazing. Your head flies back, and it has to be one of the coolest, refs getting hit I've ever seen. Seriously,
well,
it was amazing.
Thank you. I don't know if saying thank you is right because I got kicked in the head, but no, it's when you go into stuff like that, especially that was a huge match. That was the world title on our first televised pay-per-view, and you just go into that and you want to give everything you got, and that's what I tried to do on that, and I'm glad it came off well. Like I was worried that it wouldn't.
Right.
So I was psyched.
What we were actually just talking about the pay-per-view before you called. What was your thought as a whole on Ring of Honor's first live pay-per-view?
I thought it was great. It was the matches were amazing, but and it's praise all the time that I give the guys on our roster because they deserve it. The wrestling in Ring of Honor is amazing, and to be able to, after a lot of us have been with this company for a while, to be able to be on televised pay-per-view, to give the show that we want people to see, the wrestling that we want people to see, and to deliver it, felt amazing. It felt absolutely amazing. I bet you, the two of you, felt the same way. But for people who watched the pay-per-view, and you guys saw it, the opening video that they had on that pay-per-view.
Oh, it was
like
awesome.
Just watching that in the back as we're firing up, getting ready to go on that show, just goosebumps, and you kind of well up because we worked so hard to get there, and I thought the pay-per-view was fantastic.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like this is one company that has deserved the accolades for so long, and that night kind of was the culmination of that. And I'm hoping that moving forward, more and more people are able to share in the joy that is Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I agree. My thought on being with the company for 11 years is that once all we need to do is have people see us, and when we can show them what we do in the ring, what the product that we deliver, I think people will enjoy it right off the bat when they see it. So this is just, as far as pay-per-view goes, hopefully this is just the beginning and we can keep going.
Well, it's kind of like you said, they, getting to the building early like we always do, or we have to do, they must have showed that opening video package like 10 times while we were getting ready and everything. And like you said, I think literally every time I watched it, I got goosebumps. Like, it fired me up more and more. Like, I was like, all right, we are really fucking doing this today. And I think that was like, to me, that's what the whole vibe in the locker room was that night. And I think it stemmed from wrestlers to referees to managers to production. Like, everyone was like, all right, this is the real deal. And we're actually going to be able to, like you said, show people what we do. Like, we're on TV, yeah, but, it's one thing to be able to go home and look at your mom and dad and be like, no, I'm actually going to be on pay-per-view. You can order it on your cable box tonight. So I agree with you wholeheartly on that. It gets
my mom lives in Indiana. I'm from Boston. We're all Bennett and the whole group of us from Ring of Honor from Boston.
Right.
But my mother lives in Indiana, and she's seen me ref here and there. She went to when we had this last Cincinnati show. She went and watched it.
Right.
And she got the pay-per-view. And this, like you're saying there, it's like she actually got to see me on her TV. Like, she's seen DVDs, she's seen links online. And we have our TV program, but she doesn't have it where she lives.
Right.
But to actually be able to order that pay-per-view and see me, and also to see my head get kicked off was a wonderful thing for my mom. She was really thrilled about that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. My parents actually texted me and was like, is Mike okay? Is everything okay? They were really concerned about him. So, yeah, it is nice for people to be able to watch. You've been at Ring of Honor for a very long time, 11 years. Through all of the different phases, I don't want to ask you when you've enjoyed it the best, but maybe if you could just kind of take me through the different phases of Ring of Honor and what you remember most from the different periods of Ring of Honor.
There's so many different eras. From when I started right around a little bit before the second anniversary. So I think Samoa Joe was the champion. The Pure title was just coming in. CM Punk was around. In that era, it really was defined by Samoa Joe, who made that title over the course of close to 2 years such a big deal in wrestling matches. However many defenses he had, when he went out there, every match he had was important, and to the entire roster and to the people that were watching as fans, the belt became so important when Joe held it. And that was when, after that, Aries took it, and different era when the TNA guys left, so you had Chris Daniels and AJ leaving, you had Samoa Joe leaving, and then you had Aries stepping up, you had Alex Shelley, Jimmy Rave, and then you moved into the Summer of Punk, which was just an amazing 2-3 months of Punk's leaving. Everybody knows he's leaving. Oh, shit, he won the title. Now what happens? Right? So, and there was going through there, and then once Punk left, the next little phase that was defined by who I think is the best wrestler I've ever seen is Bryan Danielson. When he took the belt, and he was, I don't have to heap praise on Bryan because it's obvious how awesome he is, I think, to everybody. So there was that era there, which was just, in my opinion, a great era for the title because regardless of who Bryan was in the ring with, whether it was Colt Cabana in Chicago, who's the biggest babyface in the city,
Right.
or it was just he could play a real prick in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next show, the most hated guy in the company, Brian's a babyface the next night. And I don't think anybody who held the title was able to do that the way Brian did.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's different phases from there. Stretches when Nigel was on top, and then we brought in a lot of the Japanese guys, Morishima, Kenta, and also we benefited a lot from the younger Japanese guys like Shingo and Go Shizaki coming over here for periods of time that mixed up the roster and mixed up the matches, and which is a great thing if we can continue with New Japan right now with different guys coming in. Kind of rambling, but the different phases too. You had the tag team phase of the Briscoes, the Wolves, Steen and Generico on top. There was that, and then you had the new phase where a lot of new guys coming in that you're seeing right now are on top. This is about 2.5, 3 years ago, which was Cole, Elgin, Bennett, Tommaso, like a whole set of guys came in around the same period. And we watched these guys, I'm on the phone with you, Mike. I mean, we watched you guys build over the course of this time and become more solid, more important to the company, more amazing as stuff goes on. And I think the phase now is fantastic. I mean, we're on a roll, in my opinion, not just the pay-per-view, but shows that we're having in every town are great.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic going on from there. But the thing is, when in talking about phases, just if I can wrap it up a little, regardless of the phase that we've always been in, all the different phases that off the top of my head I had, the core is that we have a roster, whether it's wrestlers, bookers, everybody, who just wants to kill it every night. Yeah. We want to kill it. We want to show everybody in the world what we can do, and that's been from the start with that whole roster till right now. Regardless of the turnaround of where people go, that's all we want to do. And every guy who's come in has been that way.
Mm-hmm. Can you usually tell who's going to become a star when you're in the ring with them? When they're first coming in, can
sometimes.
You tell? Yeah.
Sometimes you see something in people. Sometimes you think, oh wow, this guy's going to be great, and then they shit the bed too. So
yeah, right.
It's,
I remember. I don't know if I was talking to you or if I was talking to Bobby Cruz about it, but we were talking about Steen, and he was one of those people that I don't think a lot of people thought was going to be anything when he first came in, and everyone was kind of like, oh, why are they giving this guy an opportunity? Why are they giving this guy a shot? I don't see it. I don't get it. And then talk about a guy who just completely blew up. Like, it was, and I don't remember if it was Bobby who was telling me that he was like, I don't really get it, but someone was telling me, and it's just like you said, I think sometimes you can predict, and guys do become stars, and then sometimes you think they will, and they poop the bed, and then there's guys that you think will poop the bed, and then they just blow up. So I think it's kind of hard to really predict. I know, talking to Maria has a pretty good track record of predicting who's going to be. It's funny. We always talk about who's going to get signed to WWE next, and she has I think her track record's perfect right now. She's literally picked like Generico, and then she picked. Sammy Callahan, and then you picked Kalisto, Samurai del Sol. So talk about someone who she's gonna. What?
It's just funny because I think that there's distinct sparks in people, but they don't necessarily have that personality of throwing it in your face. But you can see it while they work sometimes. But I also have picked shoo-ins, too, that people should get signed.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true.
Well, I mean, just thinking back on Punk, I mean, Punk was a shoo-in.
Right.
Just the minute you saw him.
Yeah.
Maybe just everything about him. I mean, he was wearing baggy shorts, which people didn't like, but whatever. But, I mean, just he came out of that ring to whoever he was wrestling in front of, and he was just, you saw something in Punk immediately. And I will say, I think I have a better feeling, not for when guys come in early and say, wow, this guy's good, this guy's going to be something. I kind of feel it as I ref for them over time, and I get a feel in the ring of like, all right, shit, this guy's getting it, this guy's actually picking up right now.
Right.
I feel that more than I do immediately, like, that guy's going to be great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do you feel like Ring of Honor as like a company and Ring of Honor fans, because like you said, like you knew and Ring of Honor knew right away that Punk was something special, but I feel like WWE didn't. Do you feel like Ring of Honor gets it at, you know, before WWE does? What I'm trying to say is, like, do you feel like Ring of Honor as a company and the fans can see a star before WWE actually does? Because I feel like Ring of Honor's done that with guys like Samoa Joe and Daniel Bryan and CM Punk and Tyler Black. Like, they see it way before WWE sees it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and they see it. I mean, you can use Tyler Black, Seth Rollins as an example. Well, Gabe was here. Gabe was doing the booking, and Gabe loved Tyler Black before he got in the Ring of Honor, because Gabe was also booking FIP. And we used Tyler Black down in FIP and was just waiting for the right time to bring Tyler Black in.
Right.
But Gabe saw something in him prior to when he even got here.
Right. And I feel like that's kind of lately that seems to be like the flow in wrestling. Like, you know, Ring of Honor see something, CM Punk, then WWE, and then Daniel Bryan, and now I feel like the new wave is kind of like, now they're seeing the Tyler Blacks, they're seeing the El Genericos, they're going to see the Kevin Steens. Like, I feel like, you know, it seems like we get it first, and then WWE's like, oh yeah, okay.
Well, that's just like any country artist or
Yeah,
rock
that's
band.
true.
You work all of the places you possibly can, and then something happens and you blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also, I mean, we give everybody the opportunity,
right,
when they get here to do things. I mean, you don't go in a show. We don't have somebody coming down to the roster like, look, these 6 matches, take it easy tonight. Don't do shit. Just go out there and give the fans a little golf clap and be done with it. Like, nobody's given that. Everybody's given the opportunity to go out and kill it.
Right.
And I think they may not have that in a place like WWE, but also WWE has the tryouts down at the Performance Center, and I have never been to one, but you're being seen for 3 or 4 days.
Right.
And that's it. They're not seeing you in a show situation in any way.
Right.
It's a high pressure situation that you're not used to. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people will, you know, some people excel at every moment or at certain things or whatever. Some people don't.
Yeah, no,
but I think
I know
with Ring of Honor,
people
get a chance.
Account. Yeah, no, and it's like you said, every time I do a tryout or I used to do camps when, you know, Nova ran camps or Dr. Tom ran camps, and I absolutely shit the bed when it came to those camps. Like, I just couldn't, I wasn't the standout at drills, or I wasn't the standout at like technical wrestling. But I always knew that I was like, if you put me in a show setting, I'll show them what I can do. And I think it's hard for them to really critique. I think they're giving guys a better shot now based on their past experiences, because like, I know when I went to the tryout, I didn't think I did my best. I gave it my all, but by no means did I feel like I blew them out of the water. But I was like, but put me on a live NXT show and then I'll show you what I can do. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
yeah, sure.
I have to ask you, because you said or mentioned earlier, you know, me and you are from Boston, and I've known you since I was like, we always joke, since I was like 12 years old.
Yeah, maybe like 7. I
maybe
think you were like 7 years old. We're training wrestling, and you were just doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in a ring at 7, but I don't know. Maybe explain to people how you start. I mean, I know how you started, but maybe explain to the people who are listening who don't know how you got your background in reffing and wrestling, and what led to you becoming the greatest ref of all time.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it, really. But I got my start, and I don't know how many people have gotten their start in wrestling the way I did. I went to a wrestling show was watching in the crowd. I paid for my ticket. I watched the first half of the show, and then I refereed a match later on because one of my friends was wrestling. They actually came out into the crowd at intermission to talk to me and my friends and said, "Hey, do you like?" Somebody suggested Eric Arsenal, one of my buddies, said, "Why don't you have pants ref?" And I always wanted to do it, but I was terrified. I public speaking, getting in front of people, I am the worst. I hate it. I have complete nerves, but I always wanted to ref. Oh, I love small talk. Yeah. So I went to the show. Intermission comes. Hey, why don't you have him ref? And they talked me into going back, putting on a ref shirt. And I'm not the skinniest guy. I never have been. They gave me like a medium ref shirt, and I'm wearing. There's pictures. It's probably on old MySpace and stuff. But there's pictures of me in a ref shirt and jean shorts, like John Cena. And I refed my first match without any training. And I paid $10 to watch the show that I actually eventually refed on.
That's incredible.
So from there, they talked me into it. That gave me the confidence to say, "Damn, I actually can try to do this." And I was 27 years old.
Right.
Like, it took me a while to get the guts to do that. I didn't start like you, Mike. You started when you were 5. I started when I started. So from there, the timing was really good because Killer Kowalski's school was famous. It was towards Boston. I live in the suburbs. And pretty much at that moment, Chaotic Wrestling, which is a company from Massachusetts, where guys like Kofi Kingston came from, Tommaso Ciampa came from, Damian Sandow came from there. The head trainer from Kowalski's broke off and started a wrestling school with Chaotic Wrestling. So within a month or two of actually jumping in and wrestling a match, a wrestling school opened 15 minutes away. And I had gone to those Chaotic Wrestling shows all the time, so I knew the people. So that's when I signed up, and I actually got started training and learning how to do this.
Right.
Yeah. And then were you...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, were you a wrestling fan all growing up?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw when I grew up, and you have neighborhood friends, and there was a kid who came over to his dad's house. He didn't live in our neighborhood, but he came to his dad's house, and you're all hanging out playing stuff in the backyard, and he said, "Here, I got to go get lunch." So I went to his house. Wrestling was on his TV in the kitchen. I had never seen it. It was Pedro Morales and Magnificent Morocco, and I saw that. I was probably 6, and I saw the most amazing thing. Blew my mind, which I think that happens to a lot of us that's got into this.
Right.
But it just blew my mind, and I was hooked immediately, and I would go for anything I could. I'd watch. So we're in the Northeast, so I would watch WWF, but we got World Class up here, so I would watch World Class all the time. And then I would get every magazine I could. I just was a wrestling junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Was it always I want to be a ref, or ever inspirations of I want to be a wrestler too, or just referee from the get-go?
No, just a ref. Some reason I gravitated toward the ref. Like, I would watch the wrestling. I love the characters and what was going on.
Right.
But I would kind of focus on what the ref was doing for some. And I think part of the reason was in World Class there's a ref called David Manning, and he was the head ref in World Class, but he wasn't the prototype of a referee who was just got in the ring, counted 3, enforced the rules, got hit a couple times, and then left. Like, he was a huge part of storylines. Like, when there was a big match, you can watch some World Class on the WWE Network. There was a big match, I think, between Flair and Kerry Von Erich coming up in a cage, and the announcer says, "Okay, to get their thoughts on this match, we're going to bring in referee David Manning." So David Manning will get 5 minutes on TV talking about what's going on in the match coming up. And I think, you know, as I think about him, I think he kind of gave me a reason to start focus on the referee, and that kind of maybe got my fascination going on wow, this is what refs do. And then from there, I would just always watch refs. I remember watching old pay-per-views, you know, have people come over my house. Before every single match, I would say to everybody, your referee is Jim Corderas. Just because. I would always just know the refs. I would watch them, and that was it.
You would just want everyone in the room to know who was officiating this match.
Yep, yeah. I just letting you know, just in case you were wondering, the Jimmy Corderas is in there.
I love it. Who is now? Do you ever watch? I mean, do you still watch refs nowadays to try to learn, or?
Here and there. I mean, I learn a ton just being in the ring, and just when I watch wrestling, I mostly watch matches with our friends. Like, I don't watch a whole Monday night show anymore. If I fast forward and Claudio comes out, I put on Claudio. I put on Kofi. I'll put on Brian, and then I'll focus on what the ref's doing. But it's not studying the way I used to.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, so you're now reffling. Yeah, that's a word. You're now reffing. You're now reffing for Chaotic and doing some indie stuff in New England and stuff. How does the whole getting involved with Ring of Honor start?
Well, so Ring of Honor, this is about the second anniversary. This is like November before that. I had been wrestling for a couple of years, and I just kind of felt, all right, I want to start branching out a little bit more, get out of New England, which is what all of us do that are stuck in New England. And I think people do that in all regions. You just kind of want to get out. And I followed Ring of Honor from when they started. And I actually, when they'd come up to Massachusetts, I'd go to the shows and watch with my friends. And it seemed like the wrestling that I liked. And I say that a lot. I said it to everybody at the end of the pay-per-view. Ring of Honor is the wrestling that I like. It's what I like to watch. And when I would follow Ring of Honor, it seemed like the wrestling that I liked. So I luckily had a guy who trained with us in Chaotic was Hurricane John Walters.
Right. And
he was just getting going in Ring of Honor and getting a little bit more buzz and a little, getting used more often. So I asked him if I could just come to a few shows, meet Gabe, and see what happens. So I think I drove to Rochester one night, and they said I would do a dark match, but it just didn't happen. So, and that was the night Steve Carino, Bobby Cruz actually came with us, and I knew Bobby a little bit, but that was like my first real traveling type thing with Bobby.
I'm sorry.
I know, and then his history has changed my life forever since then because of Bobby Cruz. So we went to the show. I didn't get the dark match, but Bobby was ring announcing for Steve Carino. He was doing his long intros for Carino. Mm-hmm. And because I wasn't doing anything, Bobby went to Steve and said, "Hey, you have young boys that go out and throw streamers for you. Why don't you just have pants streamers?" So on Empire State Showdown, which is an old show from New York, I lead Steve Carino to the ring and throw streamers for him. Awesome. But then from there, I lucked out in that I continually go with John Walters and Bobby Cruz, and I would just get dark matches. Every show they would give me a pre-show match. Mm-hmm. And from there, that was November. Then it was the second anniversary show in Boston, which was the pure title tournament. Okay. And in the first round, John Walters was wrestling CM Punk, and they had some convoluted roll-up, strange type pin finish.
Right.
And John went to Punk and said, "Look, I trust Todd's the one guy I trust to do this. So let's put him on the regular show, and he'll do this. He can take care of this. Don't worry about it."
Right.
So that was my kind of break into getting off pre-shows and working the regular shows. And then it was that night between doing that match, and then I think I did AJ against Matt Stryker with the unibrow Matt Stryker. When I came through the curtain after that match, Gabe met me at the curtain and says, "You're my number one ref. You're on everything." Like it was like right.
You're my number
right,
one, man. You're my number one.
And then from there, I mean, that was it.
Yeah. What do you have to say about people that, just throw a ref out there? Just, pick a guy and put a shirt on him and throw him out there.
They just don't understand that it's all part of the team. Like, it's all, you want from the guy who's booking the show to the wrestlers, to the ref, to everybody on the team. You want the best you can have. And the referee's job isn't just to go in there and count when you're pulling hair and then to count a 3 count or disqualify you. Like,
right.
The ref's job is, there's so many jobs that are going on.
Right.
But at the core of it is the ref's job is to enhance the match and be there to help the wrestlers tell the story that they want to tell. And if you don't have someone who can help tell that story, then the story's not going to be as good as it could be.
Mm-hmm. I always said that it's not 2 people in the ring. There's actually 4. There's the 2 guys, there's the fans, and then there's the referee. And all of that together can make or break the match. And there's not really one that's a bigger part than the rest because you need the whole. And I think you're amazing. So
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I really appreciate the praise so much because that's all I care about. Like is that the matches that you guys have are as best as they can be, and that I have your respect and I have your trust. That's all I give a shit about. So it floors me when I get praised. So I appreciate it.
What is the favorite match you've ever wrestled or refed?
It's it's insane how many awesome matches I've been a part of.
Yeah.
But the one that was just a moment was Samoa Joe and Kenta Kobashi.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like everything lined up, and the place was a madhouse. It was like you don't get the feeling that often because you can't manufacture that. It was just like the biggest thing at that point for me. And I was floored when I got to ref it. Like when Gabe said I would ref that, it was crazy.
Right.
And so as far as a technical matches, and maybe not the best, but the whole atmosphere and what the 2 of them did together, just amazing.
Nate, you've had the opportunity. I mean, just saying, you've been in there with Samoa Joe. You've had the opportunity to get in the ring with so many amazing performers. I mean, just when I was tweeting out the guys you've been in the ring with, like Punk and Brian and Joe and Steen and Tyler Black and just the list, Generico, the list just goes on and on of like all these amazing guys who did amazing things and are doing even more incredible things. What does it feel like when you see someone like CM Punk headline WrestleMania, or you see someone like Samoa Joe tearing it up at TNA, or when you saw Brian win the title at WrestleMania this year? Is it a feeling of pride? Do you like what's because I always know when I see guys that I've wrestled with and they're successful, especially if they're guys that I like, it's like, wow, I'm so happy for that person. Do you ever sit back and go, wow, I've had an incredible career getting the opportunity to be in the ring with such amazing talent?
Yeah, it's pride at the root, and it's when you're first starting out and you're going to town with John Walters and driving all over creation and Bobby Coons is aggravating you. You don't think that you're gonna people that you work with, we all have a dream. We all want to be the biggest thing in the world, and we want to. But you don't really think like just to try and get my head around that WrestleMania, Bryan Danielson freaking won the world, the world title, had 2 matches, and was just the top shit of WrestleMania. Was Bryan Danielson, and it's pride. Great for their accomplishments. That's amazing. But it's pride for good people. Like Brian is good people. Kofi, And it's also, the other thing I want to point out is that's all good. It's amazing that guys are going to WrestleMania. Guys are working and being main events, but it's also, I get the same kind of pride after a Ring of Honor match that kills it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just, when I come through the curtain, and I've done this with you, Mike, just like,
yeah,
shit, what the hell? That was amazing.
That was awesome.
And I kind of get the same pride as far as whether it's guys that are up there making $1 million a night, or it's us who are working our way up and trying to do everything we can to just grasped 1,500 people and you just killed it. And I get the same pride from that as I do from guys that I see on television.
Yeah, no, and I think that was like the feeling backstage after the pay-per-view. I mean, that vibe that we all had, and for people who are listening, it was just this family collection of guys who were just, you know, after the Elgin and Cole and you guys just tore the fucking house down, and the whole pay-per-view as a whole just went so flawless, and it was almost like I don't want to say it was like a fuck you to the wrestling world, but it was like a look what we just did, and we did it as a family. We didn't do it with backstabbing. We didn't do it with, you know, stepping on people's necks, and I think Christopher Daniels even said that it was a collective effort from Tommaso in the opening match, and then to Matt Hardy taking a crazy bump in our match, and then to Steen in one of his last matches, and then to Cole and Elgin just having that incredible match, and you taking that incredible bump to close out the show. And like I said, I think you can only describe it as pride. Like, just standing there in that group of guys and girls, it was like, wow, this is the company that I want to be with. And it's funny because, like, I never thought to me it was always WWE or bust, but in the past 3 years it was like, shit, I don't think I ever want to leave Ring of Honor. Like, this is the company I want to be with. And I think, like you said, you get that feeling of pride, whether it's WrestleMania or it's for Ring of Honor, you know, captivating 1,500 people in the crowd.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, to go along with the kind of that feeling of fuck yeah, you know, we showed you, but it's also like we did it. We knew we could do it.
Right.
Like, we did a 3-hour pay-per-view, and I thought every match was great. I mean, guys just went out and bust their ass. And then we went off the air exactly when we were supposed to.
Right.
Like, I mean, that's not an easy thing. That I don't think a lot of people think of that. Like, with all, you have 8, I think there were 8 matches.
Yep.
You have 8 matches and a 6-way thing, and a tag craziness, and a title match with a ref bump and all kinds of mayhem. And for us to go off the air right on time shows that from top to bottom, like you said, as a team, we all killed it.
Right.
We killed it from top to bottom.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. That was like, I think that was definitely a big staple, I think, in Ring of Honor's history. I mean, I just know I can talk from my experience in the company. That was top of the list for me. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm right with you.
Yeah. So we kind of ask all our guests this. We have like a few questions that we ask them all, and we have to ask you this. If you could change one thing in professional wrestling, whether it be WWE, Ring of Honor, TNA, or just wrestling as a whole, what would you like to see more of, or maybe what would you like to see less of, or what do you think the business is lacking now that you want to see in wrestling?
I hope, and this hopefully will happen. The one thing I would change, it's about Ring of Honor, is that we would wrestle 150 days a year, not 40.
Right.
I think if we were able to bring our product to more people, more cities on television, but also more live places, that we could get the word out even better. We could work more, which would be great, because I can't make a living off 40 dates.
Right. No.
As great as it is, and I love Ring of Honor. I don't want to go anywhere else.
Right.
But I can't make a living off 40 dates. And
right.
I think if we could do that as a company, there would be less of an option. Do I want to take my chance doing a tryout down in Florida?
Right.
If I can make a living and a good living in Ring of Honor, and that's what I would change about wrestling.
Right.
Do you think that's possible with Ring of Honor?
I do. I absolutely do. And I think it starts with with television, where I mean, we're owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, and we're in so many homes, but there's so many more that we're not in. And I think if we could just expand a little bit more, I think we could rotate dates in different cities. You know, we could do double shots, even triple shots. You know, we could wrestle on Sundays here and there.
Right.
I do think it's possible. I no doubt in my mind that it could handle it, and that there's enough cities that we could go to, and there's enough talent that people would want to see.
Yeah.
On the roster.
I feel like the independent wrestling Ring of Honor roster is just bursting at the seams with talent right now. There's so many guys out there that are so good. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah,
absolutely. And there's so many people. Like, there's only so many jobs. Like, as I got this from Dr. Tom, when Dr. Tom Pritchard would come to Chaotic School and do camps like he's done in many places. And I would always ask him, like, what do I have to do? Like, I think every wrestler asks these guys, what do I have to do to get a shot and to get a job in WWE? And he would say, and it's especially true for refs, he's like, look, there's 6 spots in the entire world for you to make a living in the WWE as a referee.
Right.
And there's more for wrestlers, but there's still not a whole hell of a lot. I mean, how many making a living spots in pro wrestling in the United States? We won't count Japan, but in the United States for a wrestler to make a living at wrestling, 100? Like maybe a little bit more, maybe even a little bit less, but that's it. And that's in the entire world. And there's more than 100 guys that are out there like learning and killing it right now.
Yeah.
That they just can't get the chance because there's not enough spots.
But I think, like, you know, Maria asked you if you think it's possible, and I just to expand on that, I think it is. And I just had this conversation, believe it or not, with Bob Evans. Guys like Steen and guys like Colt and guys like the Young Bucks are setting this trend of independent wrestling and making a living as independent wrestlers. And because the Bucks go to Japan and Colt is just a mastermind with merchandise and his podcast and getting sponsors and just completely transcending professional wrestling. And then Steen is just on the heels of Colt with everything he does. And I think we're starting to see a trend, and this is just, 4 guys doing it. And I think, like you said, we have a $1 million company backing us. And I think it literally is just getting the right eyes on us and people seeing it. Because if the guys like the Bucks and Steen and Colt can do it on their own, then there's no reason a $1 million company that's investing in talent that's just as good as those guys, and they have TV. I think it's just a matter of time, as long as the right eyes get on it. I really think it's just a matter of time before the right eyes do get on it and Ring of Honor blows up. Especially, like I said, after that pay-per-view, I feel like the sky's the limit for the company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree with that.
One of the other questions that we ask is a crazy road story. And I'm assuming, since you travel with Bobby Cruz, that there might be 1 or 2 stories.
Maybe a couple. I don't know. I know I haven't told this story. I think I've told some people, but I don't think I've ever told this story in public.
Awesome.
So Bobby Cruz, let me give some background on Bobby Cruz. Bobby Cruz is, and for people who don't know, is the ring announcer for Ring of Honor, and he really is as close to a brother I have in wrestling. Mm-hmm. Because we're both from the same area. We're from Boston, and we've traveled so many times over the course of 11 years. Traveled to so many cities. We've done so many things. We went to Japan together twice. We've done so many things, and he really is, like I said, as close to a brother I have in wrestling. And just like my brother, I have 2 brothers and 2 stepbrothers. Sometimes I can't fucking stand them. They're awesome. I love them, and we have great times with my brothers, and we have millions of laughs. But sometimes they get on your goddamn nerves, and they're jerks. And I'm the same way. But Bobby Cruz. So going to Bobby Cruz, we've been traveling forever. For a stretch, we traveled. I traveled so much, and this is one thing people out there that kind of don't understand. When we go to wrestling towns, and I'd go to, so we go on a weekend, say 3 shows.
Right.
I went to Detroit this weekend, I went to Chicago, and I went to Cincinnati, let's say.
Right.
Well, I would come home from the weekend, and my grandmother, who just would follow everything I did, she never watched the wrestling, but she loved to hear the stories of what I did. She'd say, "Where'd you go this weekend?" She to this day, she asks me, "Where'd you go this weekend?" Chicago, Detroit, Cincinnati. "Oh, really? What did you see?" "Well, I saw the airport, a car, and a wrestling arena, and then a hotel, and I left."
That's all we see.
Right, that's all we see.
Uh-huh.
We don't see anything in these places for the most part. So I decided Ring of Honor is footing the bill for me to travel to all these places. Like, I'm getting my flights paid, I'm getting my hotels paid. Why don't I do something that I like in these towns? So I started going to NHL hockey games.
Right.
And over the course of like 2.5 years, I went to every NHL arena there is, just piggybacking on wrestling places and going to these games.
That's awesome.
So back to Bobby Cruz and back to the story. Bobby Cruz is the type of sports fan who doesn't like a team; he likes a player. So Bobby Cruz likes Jeremy Roenick, his favorite player in the world. I call it his boyfriend. I go, "Oh, is your boyfriend playing today?" So we're going to see the St. Louis Blues. I think Roenick was in town. But we were going to see the St. Louis Blues, and Bobby Cruz's brother, who's a St. Louis Blues fan, came with us. So the 3 of us are driving. We're driving on the highway, lonely highway, like every other highway. I'm in the front with Bobby Cruz's brother in the front, and Bobby Cruz is in the back. And I hear laughing in the back, like giggling like a little schoolgirl, like, hey, because Bobby Cruz has no poker face, and he can't keep a secret. So he's laughing, he's giggling. I'm like, "What the hell are you laughing at?" And I'm peeking in the rearview mirror, and I see him laughing. And I'm like, "What the hell is he laughing at?" So Bobby Cruz's brother turns, and all I hear him go is, "Oh, no!" I go, "What?" He points to the shift to put into park and reverse, which is between the seats. Bobby Cruz had clipped his giant toenail and put it on the stick shift. So as I look down, there's this giant, big, fat toenail on the stick shift.
That's disgusting.
And he is so proud of himself. He's proud of himself to this day. He'll tell you that.
Of course he will.
Right. So that's the type of brotherly crap that you put up with when you hang with Bobby Cruz. But that's maybe the grossest thing I think I've seen.
Yeah, that's pretty gross, and I'm sure it was probably like green and brown and all those wonderful colors that...
Yeah, it's all diseased and fungus and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I really don't think we can top that story, so I guess we should probably wrap it up. But before we go, is there any social media that people can reach you at, Twitter or Facebook or MySpace, like you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, MySpace. I'll put you in my top 8.
Yeah.
I have Twitter, Sinclair Todd, which is just my name. It's just backwards.
Okay.
It's really simple. Just reverse it. Strike that, reverse it. And then Facebook. I think it might just be Facebook Todd Sinclair, but the picture is of me in a Bruins shirt. I'm a big Boston Bruins fan. So there's a picture of me, I think, on Facebook of me in a Bruins shirt. But you can contact me on either one of those. I'm on it all the time on my phone because I just stare at my phone like everybody else in the world.
Like we all do.
Yeah, right.
Of course.
And then just you guys plug it so much, but Ring of Honor, look it up if you don't know anything about it. ROHWrestling.com, and look, see if we're on in your town because we're on at different times. We're on at different stations, so look up the TV listings, and if we're on in your town, DVR it. I DVR everything. Everything I watch, I DVR. Right. DVR it. Watch it with your friends, and just give it a chance. Because it's the people. If you don't know Ring of Honor and you do watch WWE, most of the people that you're seeing on WWE are coming from where we come from.
Right.
And everybody in the company has the same passion as those guys did when they were here. Right. So just give us a chance.
And now catch us on pay-per-view too.
Yeah,
well, hopefully more.
Pay-per-view and DVDs and everything.
All right. Well, Todd, thank you so much for being on. I mean, honestly, I just have to say before we go, I've known you for, I know we joke, but I think I've known you for just as long as I've been in wrestling. And I tell you this after every main event you're in and after every show, you make the main event just as important as those two guys. And you're single-handedly the best ref I've ever been in the ring with. And you have made my matches better just by being in there. So thank you for that. And thank you for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
And thank you for the kiss, because that was wonderful.
Oh, yes, we didn't mention that. Oh, my goodness.
I don't know how
I'm amazed you didn't mention that.
That one slipped
No,
past.
I will say thank you for the kiss.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next weekend.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Love you guys.
Okay.
Love you too, pal. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
It's been cool to kind of take the journey with him. And now, like he said, guys like me and Cole and Elgin and Tommaso and Kyle O'Reilly, guys that all got signed at the same time are now on top. And him being the head official, he gets to ref all the main events. So it's really, really cool to get, be involved in all that. And like I said, he's the greatest ref I've ever been in the ring with. And I think he's the greatest ref in wrestling right now. I think he's better than anyone on WWE, anyone in TNA. He legit makes the matches better. And he said something to me, which I meant to bring up when we were talking to him, but he said that, I asked him, I was like, I've seen you take some sick bumps in matches. I was like, a lot of ref bumps I see, they look awful. And I've never seen Todd take a bad ref bump. And he always says, well, and I'll never forget this. He said, you guys are killing yourselves out there for 30 minutes, 40 minutes bumping all around. He said, the least I can do is make the one bump I take in the match look just as good as everything you guys are doing. And that speaks volumes to the type of ref he is. And I wish there were more refs like that, like him.
I do. I feel like it's an art that is very underappreciated. Mm-hmm. And I have been in the ring with the best of the best with refs. And he is definitely on top of that list. Mm-hmm. He pays attention to everything. He sees everything. He makes sure that when he counts, what he's counting. There's some refs out there that they count 2 count and it sounds like 3. Right. Or they count a 2 count and it's 1, 2, and then 3 comes in like way later. It's like, what are you like? There's an art to it, and I definitely appreciate what he does out there, and that is very true. And I'll say the same thing is I've taken maybe how many bumps have I taken in Ring of Honor? 4 so far,
5 maybe.
But it is important,
right?
And who cares? So you're sore the next day. So it
he
happens. At the end of the day, you guys do this every single weekend. I used to do it every single weekend, so one time during a match definitely isn't going to deter me from doing it again. Yeah. And it's so fun. I have to say, I've been to a lot of pay-per-views. I've been to the WrestleManias, and I've been to the Money in the Bank ladder matches that take your breath away. But there was just a different feel. That pay-per-view that we did was just a completely different feel than any other pay-per-view I've ever been a part of. Probably because I actually felt like I was a part of something. I've been to WWE, I've been to WrestleMania and had that WrestleMania match. And I still did not feel like I was a part of the company.
Right.
I felt like I had a match on a very important show, but my match didn't mean anything. I felt like my job that evening, working for Ring of Honor, was important. Mm-hmm. And that everybody was important. It didn't matter if you were Bobby Cruz or if you were Kevin Kelly or if you were Nigel or if you were any of the guys that were wrestling that night. Everybody's job was very important. And I love that.
Yeah.
I do. I absolutely love that with Ring of Honor. That I think I would go to bat for every single one of them.
I think what separates us from every wrestling company is that we genuinely want us to succeed. We want the company to succeed, and we will do whatever it takes. We will not step on necks and stab people in the back. We will go out there and kill the show and do it for the betterment of, I'll go out and wrestle so Kyle O'Reilly can do better in the next match, and Kyle will go out and wrestle so Adam Cole can do better, and Adam Cole will go out and wrestle so Jay Briscoe can go do better, and so on. And Tommaso will wrestle so Taven, and just the list goes on and on. There's not a single guy in that locker room that won't go out there and do what they have to do to make the guy standing across the ring from them, or the guy standing in the back, or the commentator sitting at the table, or the referee standing in the match. There's nothing they won't do to make that person look better. And that's what sets us apart, is we are a revolution. We are trying to revolutionize professional wrestling. We're not just trying to be WWE. We're trying to be an alternative to WWE and say, we're not competing with WWE. They do one thing and they do it really well. But what we do it the best. And that's professional wrestling. And I think that's what people need to realize, is that, like, we are a company full of the greatest professional wrestlers in the world who are trying to show the world that this company is the greatest wrestling company in the world. And it's just I just wish people who get online and criticize the company would, you know, for once, like, I get it. You pay money and it's your money, so you have the right to criticize what we do. And by all means, I criticize sports. I'll watch the Patriots and I'll say, oh, Bill Belichick, you should have ran the ball then, or, oh, Tom, you should have thrown the ball then. But I never once questioned the heart and passion that goes into any of the sports I watch. And I wish people who comment on Ring of Honor would, for once, not question our heart, not question our passion, and realize that every guy in that company is literally killing themselves to put on a product for you people who are criticizing us. We are out there so you can have an alternative to the stuff that you complain about the most. So don't shit in the bed that you're sleeping in, because we're out there to try to add this alternative. So realize the heart that goes into it. Realize that the blood and the sweat and the tears and the sacrifices that we all make, from the production companies to Delirious, to Kevin Kelly, to me, to you, to Kevin Steen, to the Briscoes, to Adam Cole, to Michael Elgin. We're all sacrificing because we want the best wrestling product to be out there for the entire world to see. And we want it to be successful, because if we're successful, then, like Todd was saying on the podcast, we're wrestling 150, 160, 170, 180 days a year as opposed to 40 or 50. And that brings the product to more people. Mm-hmm. And that's my rant for the day.
Yeah, I think the thing that separates the feeling that I get after our pay-per-view and after different pay-per-views is I came back and I was genuinely able to enjoy what we just did.
Yeah.
When I worked for WWE, I would come back, and even if it was a great night, I was still scared.
Right.
So scared. I was scared I was going to lose my job. I was scared I made someone mad. I was scared that maybe I did a move that was similar to somebody on accident when I didn't mean to, because I didn't really know what I was doing out in that ring anyways. But, you know, I was scared. I don't have to be scared in Ring of Honor. I don't have to. And the thing that made my night, and, you know, maybe I shouldn't say this, was after the match, here comes Mark with his big old smile, and he's like, how about a big sweaty Briscoe hug? And I must have told that story probably to every single family member I have, because it felt so good. It felt so good.
Yeah.
And you know, Matt goes out there and he does that crazy freaking bump, the superplex.
But I think that speaks volumes of what the Ring of Honor locker room feels like, because someone like Matt, who's done it all in professional wrestling, doesn't have to do it, but he feels that vibe in the locker room, and that's what I'm saying. He took that bump to make me look better, to make you look better, to make Nick Searcy look better, and to make the Briscoes look better. Because we're a group, and we were out there doing that as a group. And he took that bump because he said, this is going to make the match, which we're all in. Like I said, me, you, Nick, and the Briscoes, and Hardy. This bump is going to make the match as a whole better. And he, like I said, I think Matt will attest to this, he's bit by the bug of that locker room. And that locker room, it's a special feeling, and it just shows you where people like you and people like Matt and even people like, Christopher Daniels and Kazarian and AJ Styles can come back and be like hero and be like, this is the place I want to fucking be. And we're at a really cool moment right now.
I know.
And I just wish people would, sometimes I wish the whole world could not only see what we produce in the ring, but see what we produce, the vibe we produce, because we are a group of people that just love wrestling.
But I think that that's also why people like us are out there talking about it now.
Yeah.
Because it does take time. Positivity takes time to get out there. Negativity, super easy. If I said one thing on this podcast tonight, I know. Well, there's probably about 100 different things I could say on this podcast tonight that I know tomorrow would be picked up by every single news site out there.
But it'd all be negative.
But it would all be negative. But our positivity, that takes a long time.
Yeah.
It really does. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of people to say the same thing over and over again. But that's okay, because I love saying it, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep pushing as many different outlets that I have, whether it be with films or with television or my reality show contacts or whatever it is I can do to continue to push this wonderful product out there. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm not the only one.
No, and I think it's like you said. I think it's not just the people in the company too, because I listen to other wrestling podcasts like Jericho and Stone Cold, and especially JR. And JR talks about Ring of Honor a lot. And I know a lot of people get on him because he criticizes the guys, and he says the guys need to slow down and less is more and they need to make money. He does that because he wants to see Ring of Honor be successful, because he was in the locker room and he loves guys like the Briscoes and loves guys like Steen, and he admires what we're doing, and he knows we're sitting on a fucking gold mine, and he only does that because he wants to see us successful. So I just first of all, from one podcast to another, I want to thank him for watching and for saying that, but I want people to realize he's not doing that because he's crapping on the company. He's doing that because you can tell, and just by listening to him talk about Ring of Honor, he loves what he's seeing. He just wants to see us make the most out of what we have. And it's guys like that who are going to help us. And it's people like you, Maria, and people like Matt Hardy who are going to get the word out. And like I said, I just think we're sitting on a gold mine.
But then we also have celebrities too.
Yeah.
We do have celebrities
like
that
Nick Searcy from
loves the
Justified.
show. I mean, Brett Michaels, he loves Ring of Honor. He's a big fan of the company, and I've talked to him on numerous occasions about possibly coming in at some point. See, we do have celebrities out there that do love this company. And I know, just me personally, there's only a few wrestling companies out there that I will mention and I will talk about, and they will be PWG, they'll be Preston City Wrestling, and then there'll be Family Wrestling Entertainment. And those are basically the only other companies that I will...
New Japan.
And New Japan. That I will talk about outside of Ring of Honor. And it's not because I want to, call them out on stuff, or it's because I genuinely admire what they're trying to do. Right. And of course, everybody can get better. Everybody can change things. We know the lighting in Ring of Honor needs to get better. Everybody knows that has to happen. But it can't happen overnight. Right. We've seen what happens with wrestling companies when they throw tons and tons of money at the wall. I've seen it happen with Crossfire Wrestling. I was there when all that happened. And you don't do that. Any successful company, they continue to be consistent with their product, and they do little by little to get the word out there. They use the the extra names out there that they can to get the word out there of what we're trying to do. Then you get a little bit better set. Then you get a little bit better lighting. Then you get more PR. Then you get this. Then you get that. You don't throw everything at the frickin' wall and just pray. Like that's not what you do. It's bad business. Good business is to use what you have and build. You don't build a pyramid in cheerleading with the girl on the top level. Like, what the hell is she standing on? She's standing on nothing. What you need to have her standing on is the 5 other girls. And then you build your pyramid from there. And that's what you do. You build a building that way. You don't build the top floor first. You build the foundation. And that's what this is. This is the foundation. This pay-per-view is now the first or second floor. Then we'll do more pay-per-views. Now we're getting to third and fourth floor. Pretty soon, we'll be a very tall building. But right now, what we're doing is exactly what we should be doing for good business. There you go. There's my rant. There you go.
2 rants in
2
one
rants.
show.
We always have a couple rants.
Yeah.
Rants are fun. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. I'm finishing this up now. Now my mouth is dry. And
All right, just finish. Close it out. Because I'm sweating.
You're sweating?
It's hot as balls down here.
Oh, well, it is?
Sweaty balls.
Gross. So gross. Hashtag sweaty balls.
Hashtag Mike sweaty balls.
That's disgusting.
Well,
you know what I think is a grosser word, though, is swamp ass. I think that is so gross.
That's why you call it swass.
Even still. So gross.
Oh.
It's just a disgusting term.
You can make like the swamp ass terminology to anything, like swick. Sweaty.
Swick?
Swick.
Swick?
What's swick?
I don't know.
That's a sweaty dick.
Ew!
Or
All right, this is... No.
No, I'm not done. Swalls.
How about Swissy?
Switties.
You got some nice switties over there.
Look at those big old switties.
Sweaty titties.
Well, thank you for translation. On that note...
Well, you can follow me on Twitter, and I say it like that because I really like Jericho's podcast, so I'm stealing. It's Maria L. Kanellis on Twitter. I almost gave out my email address. That would have been terrible. I also have a Facebook page, and that's official Maria Kanellis. You'll know that it's mine because there's 500,000 people following that one. God. So don't go for the one that has like 30 people that pulls everything from my Facebook. So go for the one that has near 500,000.
The one with 30 people is the one I secretly created.
That's disgusting. And I do have an eBay store that I'm really trying to sell everything. So you can go there. I sell Playboys and I sell pictures and wrestling gear and swimsuits that I had. And some people find that ridiculous, but I have all this stuff and I have no place to put it. So please buy my stuff. And give it a nice home because I'm not doing anything with it except it's sitting in a box. And so that's also, it's called Maria Kanellis Direct. You can get it there.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? Do you have anything?
Just follow me on the Twitter at Real Mike Bennett and on Instagram at The Real Mike Bennett. And
you can also follow your daily blogs or your
Prodigy Superstar is my YouTube page.
And I like your blogs. Your video blogs are great.
They're all right.
I like them lots.
They're interesting. But follow those, and if you have any suggestions on more video blogs, let me know. Yeah, and keep on keeping on.
Yeah, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Peace.
Off with my head, I fell in love again. Off with my head, fell in love again. You lose your head, you lose your heart. Off with my head, I fell in love again. Off with my head, I fell in love again. You lose your head, you lose your heart. Fall apart.
This has been a production of fanoff.com.
And that's perfect.